Welcome back, everybody. I've got another archival photo here that I'd like to work on for you today, and hopefully you'll be able to learn something, or maybe it will just be something that you can relax to while you focus on something else. I've already done a little bit of work on this. If I isolate my background layer, you can see that so far I've done quite a bit in terms of adjusting for the fading that occurred, probably inside of a frame with non-UV glass. Also, you can see that I've spent a lot of time isolating individual scratches, and that's something that the client would like for me to do. If I isolate the retouch layer by itself, you can see the little worms and patterns of things that I've filled in so far, and I'll show you how I did that. So with my retouch layer selected, I'm going to zoom in nice and tight, and my workflow tends to be that I perfect one little area and work it, and as soon as it's completed, then I'm able to work on other areas and use what I've fixed as a source to fix other pieces. So pressing S for my stamper tool, S for stamper, I hold down Alt and select a good area. This is what I would call a good area. I'd like to make the photo perfectly rectangular and get rid of this little black trim that I'm seeing right here. So I'll get my stamper and select an area that's fairly close to the edge, and I will just fill that in. I'm trying very, very carefully not to come in any closer than I need to. Just right in there, yep. Right along there. Just sneak it in there. Alright, I like that. Okay, let's proceed to the healing brush, and we'll focus on some of these little nitpicks here. There we go. Go along here, and again I pressed Alt to select a good area to borrow from, and I'm keeping my eye right now on both of the cursors so that I make sure that it doesn't stray into her hair or something, because if I begin to borrow her hair, it's going to cause me a lot of problems. Not too many problems. I exaggerate. We'll come down here, and this is going to be the big one. This is the one that I think the client was the most concerned about. Oh, but I'm going to procrastinate a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to procrastinate. Let's go up here and work on the corner again. There we go. Just go right along there. And because I was using the healing brush just now, it left me with a very dark fringe on the outside edge, and I don't want that. I want it to be pretty uniform all along. So I'll switch to my healing brush and just go right along there. Actually, that's darker. We'll borrow from another spot that's a little lighter. There we go, it's a little lighter. There we go. Come along here, borrow from that edge. And alright, here's a big chunk we have to work on. So I'm just going to compare visually around my canvas. Up here we've got some nice bright stuff. We can borrow all of this. We can think of it as removing turf. I don't know if you've ever seen a turf farm, but they have a large machine that picks up the grass and moves it somewhere else. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to copy this by alt-clicking and then paint new right over the top of that. I really like mowing the grass. I like seeing everything uniform and even, and that's effectively what we're doing here, is just evening everything out so that no one's the wiser. No one's the wiser. I've got a little bit of an artifact right there I need to clean up. There we go. Alright, switching back to my healer, I'll get that one little dot that's been nagging me. Hopefully these videos aren't too hard on your OCD. I know it can be difficult to watch something and think, oh, why isn't he attacking that spot yet? Like that scratch by her necklace, why isn't he attacking that yet? There we go, nice and even. I've got a bit of a repeating pattern there and I don't like those, so I'll mix it up a little bit. Alright, come up here. It's the big one, folks. It's the big one. Let's see what we do here. Alright, I'll borrow from here. Just do a little pass, just little passes. The nice thing about little passes is if they look terrible, there's less to undo. So as long as we keep every pass pretty small, it won't cost us as much work to undo it. I'm thinking I'm liking this area better to start with. Yeah. So what you'll end up with sometimes is you've got maybe a slightly more saturated and darker skin area up here. You've got a lighter and less saturated down here, and our transition is making some sort of dark pit between the two, and I don't want that. So I'm going to have to work on this some more. I'll undo that. Come over here. Let's just work from one edge to the other. I think in the end that's going to be my best bet. This is all raw, folks. You get to see the entire process here. Don't always figure it out on the first try. There we go. And now I want to blend that corner better so that using my stamper, there we go. And we keep blending. If it doesn't look good, just keep blending it. Alright. Come down to here. We'll work on her hair a little bit. There, I like that. Very nice. Very nice. Alright. I don't think anyone will be the wiser there. Now that I've done that, I'm noticing that this is splotchy, so I'll attack this fresh. There we go. Let's do it again. For some reason it didn't accept my key press to change to the healer. Let that process. There we go, much better. Before, after, before, after. Okay, coming to the cheek. Now right here on the cheek we have a transition point we have to work on. So I'll get my healer and make it a good size. And select right there, and then move to the right, and move to the left, and just that much for now. Let it process. That's actually really close. I don't mind that much at all. Now, right through here, I'm losing a bit of color in the hair. You probably notice you've got some nice greenish looking tones through here and down here, but right here it's kind of going yellow. So my solution to that would be to switch to my stamper. And then if I change my opacity up here, and I can do that just by tapping a key, let's say 2, so 20%, I can borrow this nice green down here, alt-clicking, bring it up here, and I'll paint a little bit over it. And a little more, and a little more. Okay, we're almost going too green. Try and blend that some more. Switching back to my stamper, or to my healing brush. There we go. So before, after, let me appreciate it from far away. Yeah, from far away. If I didn't know that was there, I don't think I'd be bothered by it. Sometimes I have to do that. I have to back out and assess the image as a whole, and it keeps me from getting too nitpicky. Okay, so now let's work on this cheek transition. I think I'll go from right here under that beautiful eye to right about there. Alright, so we'll use the healer. We'll go to the right and to the left, left and right. Let go. Oh, wow, that is pretty close. That is pretty close. I think I'll do another pass just to make sure. Let's come down here and borrow some more cheek transition. Notice you've got a cheek highlight right here, and then a bit of a cheek shadow area right here. And so that continues all the way up, left and right. We've got a cheek transition. So I'm going to click right here and just work that just to make it not call so much attention to itself. And after Photoshop does its blending magic, it looks pretty good. I don't like this right here though. Let's do that one more time. Yeah, that's pretty good. Another pass. Very nice. Okay. Now, I'm going to hit Control S to save because I tend to forget to do that. And then we'll work under her eye right here. So, going along just a little bit, and I'll get to where I can kind of cut things off a little. Let's see, backing out. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. It needs another pass. Let's try it again. So go along here, and we'll get rid of that sort of smudgy look. That's a little more natural of a transition. I like that a lot. This nose, though, I'm kind of anticipating a lot of work there, just trying to get the highlight of the nose to transition properly. I don't know who this lady is. She seems very nice, but I haven't actually seen her in person to appreciate what her nose ought to look like. So we get to do a little bit of guesswork. Alright, let's work in from the outside again, just because I am procrastinating. We'll start here, and we'll go inward. Just little chunks at a time, little tiny chunks. Start the hair at the transition, borrowing from the hair above. Should make a very nice line. That's not too bad. I can already tell that I'll need to back out and blend all that. See, this is one of the pitfalls of the healing brush. You can get carried away and not realize that what you're creating is almost a third problem. You have the problem above, the problem below, and now this is a whole new body of problem right here. So I will address it now. Let's zoom in, hit my Control plus, switch to my healing brush and make it a little bigger, I think. And we'll just finesse this edge. I want it to be as seamless as possible. There we go, it's looking pretty good. It's still kind of soft. I may need to borrow instead of blend. I may just borrow and paint over it. Yeah, it's looking pretty smudgy. So let's go in, and we've got lots of transition here. I'll switch to my clone stamper. My clone stamper is still set to 20%, so I'll click here and paint a little bit over the top, sampling below, sampling below, sampling below, and just paint over it at 20%. And just kind of paint to blend those lines in so that no one's the wiser. Zooming out. Okay, I think that's a lot better. what you'll run into when you do this is if I don't blend, especially these corners effectively, any paint work that you do will still create that horizontal line through her face. So we want to get these corners blended as much as possible so that you don't have a subconscious horizontal shearing going on. There's going to be plenty of tricky stuff I've got to do on the face, but one saving grace is we have a very neutral, non-busy background, almost like a cloud. And I can use that cloud by borrowing different areas to blend it all together. So, without further ado, let's go after that hair and see what we can do right on that hair transition. So, I'll press J, get my healer, and I don't want to overheal. A lot of people like to use a really big healer. You don't really want your healer or your stamper any bigger than your problem area, because then you're painting over things that are good, things that are useful, and things that you can use to retouch the rest of it. Just for my own OCD, I'm going to make my brush really small and hit these two little dot areas. I like to call this dust busting. There we go, that's very nice. So let's make our brush a little bigger. And along we go. There we go. Right to there and release. Oh boy. Let's try again. So the fold in the photograph has created two problems. It's created this dark line that we have to compensate for, but then the part that's pushed up by the fold is all highlighted. See how bright it is? So it's created two transitions. I'm going to make my brush really small, and let's just hit this teeny tiny crease here and release. That's pretty good. I think I'm going to have to clone stamp over that still because it's a very aggressive crack. Go like that. Alright. I think my next easiest part is actually this little spot right here. I'll make my brush a lot bigger. And we'll go along that. Instinctively, I get very quiet because I know I'm working on someone's eye. You don't want to startle someone when you're working on their eyes. Gotta be very gentle. It's like when you're giving a face massage to one of your kids or something. You gotta be very gentle on the face. You don't want to disturb them. Okay, right through here. Oh, I like that. How's it gonna look? Okay. I don't know. It would be so nice to see an original. You see how that shadow almost goes straight to the middle of her nose now? I don't think that's gonna be natural at all. So I'll probably paint some good forehead over the top of that. Ooh, look at that little stain. It's like a coffee stain or something. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Much better. So let's go down here, and I will just borrow along that nose shape. So I'll bring that straight up from where I borrowed it, and we will just gently trace along here. Oop, see what I've done? I borrowed a highlight. That's gonna mess it up. As soon as I let go, it'll be really bright. Oh, or not. Ugh. It's still no good though. It looks like someone broke her nose. Let's try it again. So I go along here, and right to there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to repaint this bridge quite a bit. Let's see, we're so close with this eye on the right side, so let's It's a little bit dark right there. It looks like she didn't know how to put on her mascara because of the way I painted that. Yep, that's all my fault. This dark line here, that's all my fault. So we'll take care of it here in a second. I just want to repaint this hint of a line that I'm seeing right there. Let's see, there we go. Okay, now I'll get my stamper and make it nice and small. And all of this cheek area is already brighter than this, so any of it will work. I'm just using a little hint of it. Just like makeup, you know, you put on a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. Okay, let me back up a couple steps. Get it to where it's looking pretty natural. Okay, I can see that I've already used too much borrowing from the same area. I'm getting a lot of jitter through this cheek. You can see dot and splotch and splotch. And some of it isn't me, some of it was inherent, like these two dark areas are part of the photo. But I want to get rid of some of these weird pattern things. So let's get a larger brush and work that transition again. Does that look any better? We've got a splotch right there. Maybe if I use a more contrast neutral area of cheek, it'll be better for me. Yeah, already I like that a lot better. Okay, well, the bridge of her nose is still a problem, but let's go to the other eye, because I'm going to procrastinate some more. So now we're looking at her left eye, or the eye on our left. I'll make the brush about the size of the crease that I'm looking at. This forehead is, I think, a really good area, but I'm almost tempted to do what I did over there and borrow some of the less contrasty, brighter side. So I'll borrow that with my Alt click and just do a little tiny pass there. Okay, we've got a low light right there. Let's get rid of it. Okay, already I can see a smudge. A giant smudge going across her brow, and we're going to have to fix that. But right now I just want to isolate the appearance of that scratch. So we'll go along there. There we go. There we go. Extend the brow. I don't know tons about women, but I seem to understand that they like their eyebrows to be well defined. So we'll do her a little favor there. Work those eyebrows. Okay, so I think the main thing that I'm seeing right now is her eyebrow almost extends into her eyelid down here. And we'll fix that by just faking it a little bit. I'm going to get some more of this neutral forehead color. That's why we fix the forehead first. It gives us a lot of skin that we can use to repair other areas. So I'll get the stamper on a nice 20%, and we'll borrow some of this forehead here. And we'll do a pass for that, and another pass, and a third right in that dark spot. Okay. It's still looking a little bit blocky, I think. especially on this side here. And that nose is still looking distracting. So we'll zoom in, and I just want to try again. I need to, just got to be patient with myself and try and try. Let's take this nose highlight and bring it up. Even if we have to make like a little triangular swoop here with this highlight. Follow it up here, follow down there. So I'm just going to extend it up into this just a little bit, which I can do because I'm not at full opacity. Yeah, we'll go about like that. Now, it definitely looks like a brush stroke right now, but the beauty of it is I can shave it to a more fine point by painting around it. Just paint some of that dark area, paint some more dark onto it. And the more I shape it, and again, knowing this woman in her lifetime would be helpful to me, because then I would kind of know what I was going for with the bridge of her nose. But just borrowing some of these darker tones and shaping that highlight I created. It's looking pretty good, but it has no texture to it. So we'll add some texture. Lots of texture. Nice dark texture through there. The highlight's almost too blown out. Oh wow. I'm liking it. It's not perfect, but I'm liking it. Now notice, here's something that's not my doing at all, and that's this little highlight here. I might address that too. I have reshaped her nose, I think. Yeah, you can see it shifting right here. You can see it shifting from left to right as I do that. So maybe I'll add a little more highlight to shift it back over. Only because I've worked so hard kind of making it the way it is. I don't want to undo it. Let's check that. Oh, too far the other way. Okay. Okay. Now it's already, it's too pointed. So let's just shave it or groom it down a little bit. There we go, taking some dark areas, painting and painting, and do a couple passes so it's not so pointed. Backing out. They used very angular light when they took her picture. That I'm pretty well satisfied with. I do want to take care of some of the splotchiness, but for the most part I really like it. We'll actually borrow some hair. The hair is nice and dark, and I can kind of blend her eye into her nose a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Just a hint, just a little hint. In fact, I'll back it off one time. And then blend some neutrals into that. Just blending. Oh, she's very ravishing. I like this lady. She makes me want to watch an old movie. Let's go here and paint a little bit over this, just blending it together. Healing in on that. To make it all even. I don't know much about women, but I know they like an even forehead. So evaluating the image at this point, I have this highlight here that looks very unnatural. I have this that isn't my doing that we ought to even out. But at this point I'm considering using a bit of a cheat. And that cheat would be to come down to my solid color layer and throw it up there, and then move it to the top, and we'll invert that. So now it's all black. This color is not being applied anywhere, but I'll set this to color, and as I evaluate this image, I think the most neutral color that I would see is right here. So a nice neutral tan color. I'll click OK. And now I'll invert that mask again. And that very nearly solved all the problems by itself. I think it's a little too saturated, maybe? Yeah. It's making the cheeks less orange, which I actually like. It almost completely made this little dodge area go away. And I do have some work to do here, but all in all, other than being a little too saturated, I think that evened things out nicely. Let's go here and drop it about that much. Oh, a little higher. There we go. So it's still very warm. It's not completely neutralized in saturation, but it has a nice warm color to it. I'm going to get rid of that little glow right there. So we'll go back down to our retouch layer. And because we put this color layer on top, everything we do will be covered by this. It will apply its color to everything that we see. So we're safe. I'll click there and we'll grab a little bit of dark blouse there for the texture. Dark blouse. One pass, two passes. Okay, looks very nice. I'm going to set my opacity to 100% and get rid of that dot, because my OCD, there's a dot here I don't like either. Let's grab from right here, take some dress edge, and put it over there. Very nice. There's a little spot in her hair too. There are spots everywhere. There's a lot of green in this print. Okay, well, that being said, let's take some forehead that's not quite as bright and paint it over this forehead that got a bit over brightened. I like that better, but it doesn't blend well, so we're going to get rid of this edge here. I get my healer. We'll go over that. Very nice. Very nice, very nice. I've got a bit of a strong highlight here. Just jump into that a little bit. Very nice. And shape the eyebrow just a bit. There we go. Oh, so nice. Okay, I want to make this blend too. Borrowed from the wrong area. It's almost too dark. Okay, backing out. Oh boy, it's so close. It's just a little bit of finesse work now. Let's get our stamper, make it nice and big, nice and soft. And I'll press 2 to go to 20% again and just add another layer. another layer right there. Another little stroke of highlight into that. Making things smooth is such a challenge. There you go, folks. That's going to be my final image, I think. I'm liking it overall. I may do a couple of things on this. Well, I'll do that. Let's do that right now. It looks a little bit cruddy here under the nose, and nobody wants that. So let's just tidy that up before I call it done. We want it to look nice and smooth. There we go. Yes. Okay, that is definitely how I want it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this retouch, and I'll see you in the next one.